Well, our next story is about a man with the spirit of an explorer that would make Lewis and Clark proud. He battles wind and water and weather and tests himself and his limits in the South Dakota Kayak Challenge. It happens every Memorial Day weekend on the mighty Missouri River, and it brings together some hardcore competitors. Here again is Jolene Letcher.
Call it a history book, a story for the future, an outline of where we live today, built on waves of the past, preserved in sediment and sentiment. Where curves create the future, and the journey, well, that can be rocky and majestic. The author goes by many names: the Mighty Mo, the Old Man, the Big Muddy, or just the Missouri.
Currently, I'm outside of Chicago, but my home is this Missouri River right here.
It's here Mother Nature and the Old Man meet to greet 143 river rats, the two-legged kind, on this last Saturday in May for the South Dakota Kayak Challenge.
With this river, you know, it's the main artery for our whole state, and it's often untapped. So it's great to get these people out and get some exposure.
From around the state or across the country, even around the world, 129 kayaks and a few canoes, they gather under an overcast sky. And among them, Chad Cadwell.
I'm gonna paddle as hard as I can. It doesn't matter, you know, I'm racing the clock, I'm racing myself, nobody else. I'm just gonna go out and put together the fastest 72 miles I possibly can.
And the words on his boat, made just in 4 letters, tell all one needs to know about what lies ahead. At exactly 7 a.m., with military precision in Yankton, South Dakota, they take off for Sioux City, Iowa, ready to tackle the last untamed stretch of the 2,300-mile Missouri.
Well, the star of our show, the real highlight of the South Dakota Kayak Challenge, is the Missouri River. The river here is completely different than anywhere from the headwaters of Montana to the Gulf of Mexico. It's a mile wide in some spots. It's as wild a stretch of the Missouri River as you're going to find in the United States.
Well, I lived on it. My family's operated commercially on the Missouri River for generations, and I kind of followed the same path for a lot of years.
It may be called the Kayak Challenge, but consider this more of a family reunion. And like reuniting with a long-lost relative, it can bring its challenges.
This is a grandfather river, there's no doubt about it. It's old and strong and patient and wise, and it's been a pivotal point, a rock for me in my life, you know, ups and downs in my life. This river's always been constant.
And with any reunion comes those first, almost awkward moments of reacquainting yourself with those you never knew, and those who look so much different than they did before.
And with the changes that have happened over the last few years, the river is dug itself deeper, and the currents, the channels are a little bit more concentrated and really running hard in some areas. There's standing waves in places, and it's so wide open, you know, it's up to, 3/4 of a mile wide.
When man and land depart and man and water unite, it's the paddle that connects them. But it's a communion of wills and the common bond of 2 stubborn souls, too.
3907!
The fluid and at times fevered temper of the Missouri means many will stop right here. The first of 4 checkpoints, 18.4 miles in. Others stare her down, determined to win the battle against time and nature. Under the water, the weapons of the river, sandbars covered by buffalo bones, the mighty neighbors of the Mighty Mo that passed this way more than 25,000 years ago.
The history of the native tribes and the Lewis and Clark expedition, a lot of that history that's gone unwritten is the lifeblood of what makes this place so interesting and so cool.
Points where petrified trees turn into a graveyard, littered with ghosts of those who fought these waters before and rode among her majestic bluffs. The contrast of comfort on the plains, cushioned by shore, beach and grass, and then the currents of destruction. Paddling against the water's determination, the weary cannot rest here. Only slow down to take a breath and take in every moment that's taken millennia to create. As the day goes on, each stroke bringing them one stride closer to closing this chapter of their history, those that know the river and those that just met learn among all else, it must be respected.
This river cuts away at these high banks and trees and everything are falling in, and the river changes on a day-to-day basis along the banks that's getting cut.
And for those that live here, winged, whimsical, or water-bound, no, you cannot follow an agenda when you follow this route.
This river will humble you really quickly.
Taking the path of the unseen, a pristine artwork on a canvas of currents and channels, touched by time, while touching the same wild, untamed spirit of the explorers and the pioneers who all came before.
Well, it was everything we expected it, you know, wind in your face and
Wild!
It was wild. It was wild. Yeah, it was good, man. It was, you know, a little bit slower than we'd hoped, but, you know, made it, and that wind was intense.
One of the most beautiful race courses I've ever been on anywhere, and we'll definitely do it again. I'd like to have some warmer weather, but now it's nice, of course, that we're done.
They didn't run the perfect race, but it was fun and a success, so no complaints.
Here at the end, no fancy finish line.
Yep, congratulations.
Congratulations, Joe.
Some finish in about 8 hours, others 15.
Hey, congratulations, man.
For Chad, the record books will write down 9 hours and 51 minutes.
This river has taught me to slow down and to enjoy nature. This river has taught me to be focused and stay true to your path. And with that said, it's okay to meander every once in a while, you know, because you can always get back and find the channel, so.
A reflection of our lives, lived on the water that tells our story. Rough waters that test our will, and calm, soul-soothing scenery that paints the memories of a lifetime built around this, the author of our past, our present, and our future.
All right, Jolene, another great story. Thank you. And people love getting in the outdoors, but you can't mess with Mother Nature, and this race has found that out over the years, right?
Mother Nature has a mind of her own, that is for sure. So over the 4 years, there have actually only been 3 races, because if you remember in 2011, was all that catastrophic Missouri River flooding, which of course all started Memorial Day weekend, and so they had to cancel it that year, but they're already planning for 2014.
All right, appreciate it. Thanks, Jolene Letcher. And thank you for watching Midco Sports Magazine.